What's happening, guys? It's your buddy Griz, and this is Kit Up with a twist. Yes, this week the kit is a bit of a departure from the norm, and that is because of this week's commenter, or last week's, I guess, depending on which way you look at it. He had a unique idea that I thought was really cool, so I decided to roll with it. However, once I started playing with it, I immediately regretted my decision. This was a really tough setup to do well with, and I'll explain all of that later. But first, let's just look at what we're dealing with. Coming to us from Minecraft Total Justice, it is the Duke Nukem loadout. And that's what caught my attention right there, was the fact that it was called the Duke Nukem loadout. Duke Nukem, of course, being a series of games I remember very well from my past. I haven't played the recent release that was called Duke Nukem Forever, I think? Never played that one, but I remember playing the first one ever for like Windows 3.1, and I also remember playing a ton of Duke Nukem 3D as well. So that's kind of what drew me to this comment. So the Duke Nukem loadout consists of the Hawk 12-gauge shotgun with the duckbill, apparently, and any accessories, so I'm using the green laser sight. Desert Eagle with nothing you wanted for attachments, MTJ. Sorry, but I just unlocked it recently and I didn't have anything, so I just ran it naked because I figured that would probably be Duke style anyway. But I did throw on your flat snow camo to make it all nice and purty white. For the gadgets, I'm only allowed one, and that is the M320. And I was told I could either use the HE or the LVG. So I picked the LVG because I'm pretty sure there was a grenade launcher that Duke had that lobbed grenades into places before they exploded, much like the LVG does. RGO impact grenades and the defensive field upgrade are going to finish out this kit, and I have a little instruction from MTJ telling me to use the Deagle as my primary weapon. Okay, use the M320 in close to medium combat, gotcha, and the Hawk in extreme close quarters. Done. And I decided to throw that chopper clip in there because it felt very Duke-like, going on a little spree in the gunner seat before jumping out and gunning down a few more jamokes. I don't know, it just felt like something he would do, I guess. So how did all this work out? Well, as I mentioned before, it was frustrating, to say the least. Maybe it was using the pistol as a primary, or getting burned by what I think just might be the most useless attachment in the entire game. I don't know, but let's just look at the gun stats for both guns here, because really, I don't know what I'm supposed to be reviewing, the Hawk or the Deagle. This is probably the most random episode of Kit Up ever, but you know what? I'm liking it so far. So I guess we'll start with the Deagle, since it's supposed to be my primary weapon. The Desert Eagle, see, look at this, what is this? Simthic has a broken image for the Deagle. Anyway, the Desert Eagle does a maximum damage of 56 and a minimum of 37.5, firing at a rate of 220 rounds per minute, with an 8-round magazine, plus 1 in the chamber, for a total round capacity of 9. Reload times are 3.2 seconds when empty, and 2.75 seconds with a round still in the chamber. That is what they say currently. I'm not sure exactly how accurate these stats are because the weapon is still very new, and I'm sure it will probably change numerous times between now and EOL Battlefield 4. So if you're watching this video and it's been up for over 3 months, it may not be 100% accurate anymore. Aside from all of this, and as it stands right now, the Deagle is amazingly powerful, accurate, and can totally be used as a primary weapon, as I found out firsthand. That max damage of 56 means that if you're within 8 feet of a guy, 2 shots anywhere will take him down, 1 if you manage to get that headshot. So it's extremely powerful. Not only that, but it's accurate, fires at a decent rate, and reloads pretty quickly. It is right there with the SW40 and the Unica for fire rate, but the reload speeds make it a clear choice over both of these pistols, if you ask me. And on that note, is anyone else bothered by the reload animation of the Unica? Why does he have to, like, flick his wrist at the end of it that takes up like a full second? And, I don't know, it just seems completely ridiculous and unnecessary to me. Does anyone else feel that way? Suffice to say, the Deagle is one of the standout sidearms available. The only thing I can really complain about it is its hipfire accuracy. Definitely leaves a bit to be desired, but hey, every weapon has to have some sort of balancing point, and I guess the hipfire accuracy is where the Deagle sort of falls short compared to the other pistols. Alright, so how about the Hawk? So shotgun stats can get a little bit vast and confusing, so for the purpose of this video I'm just going to talk about how the Hawk performs with what I was using on it. And that would be the buckshot shells, laser sight, and duckbill barrel attachment. So as you can see on the chart, the Hawk with buckshot does a max damage of 15.4 per pellet, and it has 14 pellets. So you multiply those numbers, and you know what? Forget all that stuff. If you get a guy in the chest with all 14 pellets, you can bet your last dollar he's gonna go down. The problem is getting all 14 pellets to connect, and the duckbill attachment makes this next to impossible as far as I can tell. This is what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned the most useless attachment in the game, the duckbill. I absolutely loathe this thing, I always have, and I'm pretty sure I always will. It's just so stupid to me. I understand, like, the theory behind it is to spread out the pellets horizontally to help you deal with multiple enemies at a time, but running up on a group of enemies who are actually all standing close enough together to all get hit by the spread of the duckbill is about as common as, let's say, seeing X Factor go negative. It just doesn't happen. So I don't really see the point of ever running this attachment. I personally much prefer the standard barrel over the duckbill, because your enemies are almost always spaced too far away for it to really be that effective. I've actually become quite fond of the full and modified choke on pump action shotguns as well, because they help tighten the spread of the bullets tremendously, actually, as long as you are aiming down sights. And it does tend to kill your hip fire a bit, but if you get bum rushed by a guy who's all of a sudden right in your face, you can still spam the hip fire and it really won't make that much of a difference. I find I get a lot more one-shot kills with one of these chokes on the barrel and taking my time to aim down the sights. Moving on to the 320 LVG, this guy is my new little buddy. Usually the tendency for me is to go for the HE, but this time I decided the LVG was my guy, and boy was I happy with that decision. The difference, for those of you who don't know, between the LVG and the HE is while the HE explodes immediately on contact with any surface, the LVG will bounce off surfaces and explodes after a certain amount of time has expired, which is only a few seconds. The thing I found out about this guy is, and this is really fun to do, direct impacts will always be a kill. I just imagine getting hit in the chest with a grenade that then falls to your feet and then explodes. Like, just imagine that moment when you get hit with it and you're like, shit. I don't know why, I just found that comical in my head. But yeah, sometimes I find the HE, even when you get a direct impact, doesn't always give you the kill. It must be that pesky defensive perk again or something, but whatever it is, you don't have to worry about it with the LVG. You DI someone with this thing, it will explode right at their feet and they will be toasted. It's also very useful for clearing out and checking rooms before you go in. The great thing about the LVG is that you can bank grenades into rooms, you know, off walls, off the ceiling, off the floor, whatever. And even if you don't get the kill, if someone's in there, you'll probably at least get a hit marker, which will warn you in advance that, you know, there be enemies afoot. It's really quite helpful. So I came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I was all out of gum. Honestly though, this was a lot harder to do well with than I thought it was going to be. I had a few shining moments there, but for the most part I did severely bad. I love the Deagle, not as a primary weapon per se. The Hawk is usually a great shotgun, but as soon as you put the duckbill on any shotgun, I find it just makes it a lot harder to win gunfights, as it usually ends up taking you an extra shell to deal with, like a one-on-one encounter. The LVG, on the other hand, was undoubtedly the bright spot of this kit, as using it more has made me take a bit of a shine to it, and I think I'll definitely prefer it over the HE now. But I have nothing further about this week's kit. I do want to thank Minecraft Total Justice for his suggestion. It was very unique, almost enough to put it into Troll a Loadout, but I decided to just run with it for this series instead because I had already recorded the gameplay. Hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. If you did and you'd like to leave it a little love, you can do so by clicking the like button down below. Always much obliged for them likes, and it helps the channel grow too, so thank you very much if you do decide to click on that. And don't forget to leave me your suggestion for next week's episode in the comments as well. And as always, if you're new around here, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, join in on the fun. But once again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and continuing to support the channel and my videos. Thank you very much. My name is Griz, and I'll see you all next time.